Hello, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. So today, we're doing something I've been meaning to make for a while now. A full breakdown of the best anime for complete beginners. And I know, some of you watching this right now have been into anime for years, and you're like, why are we doing this? I already know. And to that, I say, send this to someone you know who keeps saying they want to get into anime and never does. You know exactly who I'm talking about, that one friend. Yeah, this video is for them. Because here's the thing, getting into anime in 2026 is genuinely overwhelming if nobody's guiding you. The catalog is massive, the community has strong opinions, and if you pick the wrong starting point, you might bounce off the whole medium before you ever give it a real shot. So, what we're doing today is cutting through all of that, breaking down the actual best entry points, what kind of viewer each one is built for, and why the anime community keeps coming back to these specific titles when someone asks where to start. We've got everything from a movie you can finish in a single sitting to long-running series that'll consume your entire sleep schedule for a month. Short stuff, long stuff, action, comedy, emotional devastation, it's all here. I do have a ranking at the end because, of course I do. Opinions were made to be shared and I have plenty of them. All right, let's get into it. Attack on Titan. Okay, so let's kick this off with the one that basically converted half the non-anime world into anime fans, whether they wanted to admit it or not. Attack on Titan. So here's the setup, and it's genuinely one of the simplest premises in all of anime. Giant naked people are eating humans. Humanity built 3 massive walls to hide inside. A boy named Eren watches a Titan eat his mom, and now he wants to kill every single one of them. That's it. That's the pitch. You don't need a PhD to follow along. And here's why it works so well for beginners specifically. It doesn't feel like anime in the way people are scared of anime. Like there's no power of friendship speech every 5 minutes, no filler episode where the characters go to a beach and nothing happens. It's dark, it's tense, it moves like a thriller, and the stakes feel real because the show is not afraid to kill people you actually care about, like dramatically, in front of you, with no warning. The AOT community consistently points to AOT as one of those shows that even people who don't watch anime end up finishing. That's rare. That's the kind of show it is. And the production? Bro. Hiroyuki Sawano did the soundtrack, and every time a Titan shows up, it sounds like the world is literally ending. The cinematography, the 3D movement, the fight choreography, even people who only watch prestige TV will sit down and respect it. Now, fair warning, this is not a chill watch. If you're looking for something low stakes to put on in the background while you fold laundry, this is not that. This will make you stop folding laundry. You will put the laundry down, you will forget the laundry exists. Best for action fans, psychological thriller people, anyone who's okay committing to a long series. If you've ever binge-watched a crime drama at 2 a.m. and thought just one more episode, AOT will do the exact same thing to you. Except instead of a detective, it's a guy with a murder complex and vertical maneuvering gear. All right, next up, Death Note. And if Attack on Titan is the entry point for action junkies, Death Note is the one for people who think they're too smart for anime. Which, honestly, fair, because this show earns that reputation. So the setup is simple. A high school kid named Light finds a notebook, writes someone's name in it, they die. That's it. And within like the first 10 minutes, Light has already decided he's going to use it to become a literal god and purge the world of criminals. No internal debate, no moral spiral, just, oh sick, a death notebook, time to ascend. Then a mysterious detective named L enters the picture, and from that point on, the entire show becomes 2 of the most galaxy-brained characters in anime history, playing psychological chess with each other for 37 episodes straight. It is the kind of show where you pause mid-episode just to think about what you just watched. And here's the thing, 37 episodes, that's the whole run. You can finish it in a week if you're actually committed. No 500-episode marathon, no filler arc where everyone goes to a hot spring and nothing happens for 3 episodes. It's clean, focused, and it respects your time, which is exactly what a beginner needs before they're ready to commit to a longer series. The dub is also genuinely good, which matters more than people admit. If you're still in the I don't want to read subtitles phase of your anime life, no shame, we've all been there. The dub holds up and you won't miss anything. Tone-wise, the closest comparison is Breaking Bad.
Smart guy decides he's the main character of morality, slowly becomes the villain, and you hate how much you understand his logic. If that sounds like your thing, Death Note will hook you fast. Only caveat, the second half gets divisive. The anime community has had opinions about it for years. Not gonna spoil it, but just know going in that the first half goes so hard that the back end can feel like a gear shift. Still worth finishing, just temper expectations once you hit the midpoint. Best for psychological thriller fans, anyone who wants something short and self-contained, and people who like watching smart characters be menacing at each other in suits.
One Punch Man. Okay, so this one's a little different from everything else on this list because the whole premise is built on a joke, and I mean that in the best way possible. Saitama is a hero who can defeat literally any opponent with a single punch. That's his whole thing. And instead of that being a power fantasy, the show treats it as a tragedy because he's so strong that nothing is fun anymore. Every fight ends in one hit. No tension, no struggle, no satisfaction. Dude trained so hard he went bald, and now he's just bored. Existentially bored. In a world full of monsters and supervillains, and he cannot feel anything. That's the joke. And somehow they built a whole incredible show around it. What makes this work so well for beginners is that you don't need any context going in. There's no lore dump, no complicated power system to understand, no backstory you need to care about before episode 3. The premise explains itself in literally the first 5 minutes, and then it just runs with it. You're either in or you're out, and most people are immediately in. The first season especially is one of those recommend to anyone situations. The anime community consistently puts it at the top of beginner lists because the humor lands for general audiences, the action is absolutely insane visually, and the pacing never lets you get bored. It's binge-friendly in a way that feels effortless, like you don't even realize you've watched 6 episodes until it's 2 a.m. and you have work tomorrow. Now, real talk, Season 2 is a noticeable step down in animation quality, and the community will tell you that unprompted. But Season 1 is close to flawless as a starting point. It's short, self-contained, and it works even if you never watch another anime again after it. Think of it like if the entire superhero genre, Marvel, DC, all of it, got gently, lovingly roasted by someone who clearly loves superheroes. That's the energy. It's not mean-spirited, it's just very aware of how ridiculous the whole thing is, and it leans into that fully. Best for comedy fans, action fans, casual viewers who don't want to commit to something massive, and honestly, anyone who's ever watched a superhero movie and thought this is kind of silly. Because yes, it is, and One Punch Man knows that.
Demon Slayer. Okay, so if there's one anime on this list that converted the most people who swore they would never watch anime, it's probably this one. And it's not hard to see why. The story follows Tanjiro, a kid who comes home one day to find his entire family slaughtered by a demon. His sister, Nezuko, survives, but gets turned into one. So now he becomes a demon slayer to find a cure for her and get revenge on whatever did this. It's straightforward, it's emotional from the jump, and it does not waste your time getting there. Here's the thing about Demon Slayer that separates it from a lot of other beginner recommendations. The animation is genuinely on another level. Like, this is not a good for anime situation. This is objectively stunning visuals by any standard. The fight scenes especially have this watercolor brushstroke aesthetic that looks like someone took a painting and made it move. And the first time you see it fully cut loose, you will understand why this show broke streaming records. Ufotable, the studio behind it, basically set a new bar for what TV animation could look like, and the industry is still catching up. And because the visuals do so much heavy lifting, it's incredibly easy to stay engaged even during slower moments. You're never sitting there waiting for something to happen because something is always beautiful to look at. The story itself is also refreshingly clean. Clear hero, clear villain structure, clear emotional stakes. There's no convoluted mythology you need a wiki for, no 15 episodes set up before it gets good. Episode 1 puts you right in the middle of the tragedy, and by episode 3, you're already emotionally invested in characters you met 20 minutes ago. The anime community often points out that Demon Slayer is so accessible, it almost feels like it doesn't have a barrier to entry at all. Like it could realistically work as a live action show, and you'd lose maybe 30% of what makes it special, which is honestly a wild thing to say about an animated series. Only thing to flag, the power system gets more complicated as it goes. Early on, it's simple enough, but later seasons introduce more rules and terminology. Not enough to lose a beginner, but worth knowing it deepens over time. Best for visual-focused viewers, action fans, and honestly, anyone who needs proof that animation can be just as cinematic as any prestige TV show they're already watching.
My Hero Academia. All right, so this one is a little bit of a different conversation because MHA is simultaneously one of the most recommended beginner anime and one of the most argued about ones in the community at the same time. So let me actually break that down. The world is simple. Almost everybody on the planet has a superpower called a quirk, except for this one kid, Izuku Midoriya, who was born completely powerless in a world that basically treats that as a disability. He wants to be a hero more than anything, gets a shot at inheriting the most powerful ability in existence, and enrolls in a school specifically for training professional heroes. That's the setup. And on paper, that is genuinely perfect for beginners. The concept translates immediately because we've all grown up on superhero stories. X-Men, Spider-Man, whatever, the DNA is familiar. You're not learning a completely foreign genre from scratch. You're watching something that rhymes with stuff you already know and love just through an anime lens. The themes are universal too. Underdog working harder than everyone else, proving yourself, not giving up. It's the kind of story that lands regardless of whether you've ever touched anime before. Where it gets interesting is the commitment factor. MHA is long, like multiple seasons long, and the pacing in the early going is deliberately slow. The anime community is pretty honest about the fact that a lot of people feel lukewarm on Season 1 and then get completely hooked somewhere in Season 2 when the actual high-stakes stuff starts hitting. So it rewards patience in a way that not every beginner is ready for right out the gate. The production quality is solid across the board though. The animation on the big fights is genuinely polished, and the soundtrack goes hard when it needs to. And the cast is large enough that almost everyone finds at least one character they're obsessed with, which helps carry you through the slower stretches. Think of it like if you took the first Iron Man movie and stretched it into a full school-life drama with 50 characters, tournament arcs, and a constantly escalating threat level. If that sounds too much, maybe start somewhere else on this list first. But if that sounds incredible to you, MHA will absolutely deliver. Best for superhero fans, long series binge watches, and people who are okay trading a slow start for a really satisfying payoff down the line. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Okay, so this one is a little different to introduce because unlike everything else on this list, FMA Brotherhood doesn't really need a sales pitch. The anime community, casual viewers, people who haven't watched anime since they were 12, they all kind of agree on this one. It's just good. Universally, consistently, annoyingly good in a way that makes it hard to argue with. Here's the setup. Two brothers, Edward and Alphonse, try to use alchemy to bring their dead mother back to life. It goes catastrophically wrong. Edward loses an arm and a leg. Alphonse loses his entire body and gets his soul bound to a suit of armor. And from that point forward, they're on a journey to find the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary object that might let them restore what they lost. What makes this work so well as a beginner anime is that everything is explained clearly and upfront. Alchemy in this world operates on one core rule: equivalent exchange. You can't create something from nothing. Every action has an equal cost. That's it. One rule, and the entire show builds its stakes and its tragedy around what happens when people try to break it. It's elegant in a way that a lot of fantasy world building isn't. The story is also completely self-contained. Start to finish, beginning to end, no loose threads dangling into a sequel series you need to track down. For a beginner, that's huge because you get a full, satisfying narrative without having to commit to something that might never actually conclude. And the balance it strikes is genuinely rare. It has action, it has humor, it has philosophy, it has emotional gut punches that come out of nowhere and absolutely wreck you. It doesn't sacrifice one for another. The pacing is smooth, the animation holds up, the music is great, and the characters are the kind you think about after the credits roll. The anime community basically treats Brotherhood as the benchmark. Like, when people argue about what the greatest anime of all time is, this one is almost always in the top 3 of that conversation. And it earned that reputation, honestly. If someone told me they had never watched a single anime and asked where to start with zero other context, no preferences, no genre leanings, nothing, this is probably what I'd hand them first. Best for literally everyone, but especially people who want a complete, emotionally rich story with real stakes, strong characters, and zero filler padding out the runtime.
Naruto. Okay, so Naruto is a weird one to talk about in 2026 because the conversation around it has shifted a lot. Like, it used to be the automatic first answer whenever someone asked what anime should I start with, and now it's more complicated than that. Not because it got worse, but because the landscape around it changed and people are more honest about its flaws now. So, the premise. Naruto Uzumaki is a loud, hyperactive, kind of annoying kid who grew up as an outcast in his village because a powerful demon fox got sealed inside him at birth. Nobody likes him, nobody takes him seriously, and his entire goal in life is to become Hokage, the strongest, most respected ninja in the village, just to prove everyone wrong. That's the core of it, pure underdog energy from frame one. And that emotional hook is genuinely effective. The reason this show built the fan base it did is because that feeling, being the kid nobody believed in who refuses to quit, hits different regardless of age or background. The early arcs especially nail that emotional core, and the friendships feel earned in a way that a lot of shonen series struggle with. Here's where the honesty comes in though. Naruto has filler. A lot of filler, like an almost disrespectful amount of filler. There are stretches of this show where you can skip entire months of episodes and miss absolutely nothing of consequence. The anime community has filler guides for a reason, and if you're going in blind without one, you will hit a wall and potentially never come back. So go in with a guide. That's just real talk. The other thing is the pacing and art style feel dated compared to something like Demon Slayer or JJK. It's a product of its era, and that's fine, but if you're coming in fresh expecting modern animation quality, you might need a minute to adjust. What Naruto does that nothing else on this list quite does, though, is scale. You watch this character grow from a scrappy, annoying little kid all the way to a young adult carrying the weight of the entire ninja world on his shoulders. That arc over hundreds of episodes, when it hits, it really hits. The payoff moments in this show are some of the most emotionally devastating in all of shonen anime, and the community never lets you forget it. Think of it like the anime equivalent of watching someone's entire coming-of-age story from childhood to adulthood. It's long, it's messy in places, but the journey is the whole point. Best for people who love long-form storytelling, emotional investment over flash, and anyone who's okay doing a little homework with a filler guide before diving in. Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, so if Naruto is the old-school foundation and Demon Slayer is the visual spectacle, Jujutsu Kaisen is what happens when someone looked at both of those and went, yeah, but what if we made it leaner, meaner, and way more stylish? The setup is simple enough. Yuji Itadori is a regular high school kid with freakish physical strength who ends up swallowing a finger belonging to the most powerful cursed spirit in existence, a demon named Ryomen Sukuna. Instead of dying from that, which he should have, he becomes a host for Sukuna and gets recruited into a secret school that trains jujutsu sorcerers to fight cursed spirits, demons made from human negative emotions, essentially. Grudges and trauma given physical form. And look, on paper, that sounds like a lot, but the show does a genuinely good job of rolling that out naturally without drowning you in exposition. You learn the world as Yuji learns it, which is the right way to do it, and the pace moves fast enough that you're never sitting in a lore dump long enough to get bored. What JJK does better than almost anything else on this list is the action. The fight choreography in this show is legitimately some of the best ever animated. MAPPA, the studio behind it, goes absolutely feral on the set pieces, and there are specific fights in this series that the anime community still talks about years later like they witnessed something historic. The Shibuya arc especially. If you know, you know. If you don't know yet, you will. The characters are also immediately likable in a way that doesn't feel forced.
Yuji, Megumi, Nobara, the core trio has natural chemistry, and the show gives them room to breathe between all the chaos. And then there's Gojo, who is, look, Gojo is his own conversation. Just know that he became one of the most popular anime characters of the last decade essentially immediately, and it's completely deserved. The one thing to flag is that the power system gets complicated over time. Early on, it's accessible. Cursed energy, hit the bad spirit, done. But as the series progresses, the rules get more layered, and if you're not paying attention, you can get lost in the mechanics. Not a deal breaker, just something to be aware of going in. Best for action fans who want the absolute cutting edge of what anime fight animation can look like, and anyone who wants something that feels modern, fast, and genuinely cool without a lot of baggage to wade through first.
Spy X Family. Okay, so everything up to this point has been varying degrees of intense. Giant man-eating titans, death notebooks, demons, cursed spirits. It's been a lot. So consider Spy X Family the palate cleanser on this list. The one you recommend to your mom, your little cousin, your coworker who thinks anime is weird. It is aggressively wholesome, and it works completely on purpose. The setup is genuinely one of the most fun premises in recent anime. A spy, named Lloyd, needs to create a fake family as cover for a mission, so he adopts a little girl named Anya, who secretly has telepathic powers and can read minds, and enters a fake marriage with a woman named Yor, who is secretly an assassin. None of them know each other's secrets. Anya knows all of them because she can read their minds, and she thinks the whole situation is the coolest thing that has ever happened in human history. And that's the whole show. This fake family stumbling through domestic life together while everyone is hiding something. And Anya, this tiny telepathic child, is just silently losing her mind with excitement about all of it. It is genuinely one of the funniest dynamics in anime right now, and it works because the writing trusts the premise without overcomplicating it. Here's why it's perfect for beginners specifically. It is the least anime on this list in terms of barrier to entry. There are no power systems to learn, no lore to track, no emotional devastation waiting around the corner. It's structured more like a family sitcom than a traditional anime series. Episodic, light, easy to watch in chunks without losing the thread. You could watch 2 episodes, put it down for a week, come back, and pick right back up without missing a beat. The art is clean and colorful, the humor is broad enough to land for basically any audience, and the found family dynamic at the center of it is quietly really touching in a way that sneaks up on you. Like you start watching it for the jokes, and somewhere around episode 5, you realize you actually care deeply about this fake family staying together, and that feeling caught you completely off guard. It's also just nice. In a landscape full of high-stakes trauma and death flags, sometimes you want something that's just genuinely nice to spend time with. Best for comedy fans, casual viewers, people who want something they can watch with someone who doesn't watch anime, and anyone who needs a break from everything else on this list being emotionally exhausting. Your Name. Okay, so we're closing out the series portion of this list with something that isn't a series at all. Your Name is a movie. 96 minutes, single sitting, and it is probably the most effective piece of anime ever made for converting someone who has never cared about anime in their life. Director Makoto Shinkai made this in 2016, and it became a cultural moment almost immediately. Highest grossing anime film of its time, broke records globally, got people who hadn't watched anything animated since Lion King sitting in theaters absolutely not okay by the end of it. That kind of cultural moment. The premise is this: a boy named Taki in Tokyo and a girl named Mitsuha in a rural mountain town start randomly switching bodies with each other while they sleep. No explanation, no warning, they just wake up in each other's lives and have to figure out how to function. They start leaving notes for each other, communicating through the other person's phone, slowly piecing together who this stranger is that they keep becoming. And then something shifts in the story that recontextualizes everything you've watched up to that point, and the back half of this movie hits like a truck. Here's the thing about Your Name that makes it the perfect beginner entry point. It has no anime baggage whatsoever. No tropes that feel foreign, no genre conventions that need explaining, no cultural shorthand that goes over your head. The emotions at the center of it are completely universal. Love, distance, longing, the fear of losing something you never fully had. Anyone from anywhere can sit down and feel this movie. The visuals are also just stunning in a way that's hard to overstate.
Shinkai's backgrounds look like paintings, and the film moves between them with this gorgeous fluid animation that makes every frame feel intentional. Even if the story didn't land, and it does hard, you could watch this on mute and it would still be beautiful. The anime community consistently recommends this as the single best thing to show someone who is skeptical about anime. Not because it's the most complex or the most ambitious, but because it is the most immediately emotionally accessible. It removes every excuse someone might have for not connecting with the medium and just makes you feel something. Best for romance fans, emotional viewers, casual people who want a one-and-done experience with no commitment, and honestly anyone who needs proof that animation is a legitimate art form capable of genuinely moving you.
Okay, so we've broken down all 10. Now it's time to actually rank them, worst to best, specifically based on how easy they are to walk into if you have zero anime experience and genuinely don't know where to start. No prior knowledge, no filler guides, no context. Just a person and a streaming service. And look, worst here doesn't mean bad. Everything on this list is good. This is purely about accessibility. How fast does it grab you? How much homework does it require? How forgiving is it to a complete outsider? That's the only metric we're using today. Let's get into it. At number 10 is Naruto. Yeah, Naruto lands at the bottom, and honestly, it's not even close. The show itself is great, but the barrier to entry in 2026 is real. The art feels dated, the pacing is slow by modern standards, and the filler situation is so bad you basically need a guide just to watch it correctly. For someone with zero anime experience who doesn't know what filler even is, this is a rough starting point. The emotional payoff is there, but you have to work for it in a way that a brand new viewer probably isn't ready to do yet. And look, speaking of shows that ask a lot from you up front, next at number 9 is My Hero Academia. MHA is in a similar boat, just for slightly different reasons. The premise is way more accessible than Naruto. Superheroes are a universal language at this point. But the slow burn of Season 1 is the problem. The community is pretty open about the fact that a lot of people feel lukewarm on it early, and only get hooked once Season 2 kicks in. For a beginner who doesn't know that going in, there's a real risk of dropping it before it ever gets good. And unlike Naruto, where the issues are kind of obvious, MHA's problem is sneakier. It looks like it should grab you immediately, and then just doesn't quite get there until later, which for a first-time viewer with no patience built up yet, is a tough sell. At number 8 is Jujutsu Kaisen. JJK is sleek and modern, and the action is incredible, but the power system starts getting layered pretty quickly, and if you're not paying attention, you can lose the thread. It's more accessible than Naruto by a mile, but it still requires a level of engagement that not every total beginner is ready for right out the gate. Great show, slightly higher learning curve than it first appears. Then at number 7 is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. This one is genuinely close to perfect, and the only reason it's not higher is episode count. 64 episodes is a commitment, and for someone who isn't sure they even like anime yet, that can feel like a lot to ask. Once you're in it though, the pacing is smooth enough that it doesn't feel long. The world building is clear, the story is complete, and the emotional payoff is massive. It's a near perfect anime, just not the most frictionless starting point purely because of the runtime. Then at number 6 is Attack on Titan. AOT is incredibly accessible in terms of premise and hooks you almost immediately. The reason it's not higher is the intensity. This show is heavy. It's dark, it kills characters you love, and it demands emotional investment from basically episode 1. For some beginners, that's exactly what they need. For others, it can feel like a lot before they've even gotten comfortable with the medium. The premise sells itself, but the emotional weight is real. Then at number 5 is Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is where the list starts getting genuinely frictionless. Simple story, clear emotional stakes, and visuals so good they do half the work for you. The pacing is brisk, the villain structure is easy to follow, and you don't need any prior anime knowledge to appreciate what you're watching. The only thing keeping it from the top 4 is that it does get more complicated in later seasons, which matters if a beginner gets hooked and keeps going.
Next, at number 4 is One Punch Man. Season 1 of One Punch Man is about as close to a perfect beginner package as a series gets. Short, self-contained, immediately funny, visually insane, and requires absolutely zero context to enjoy. The humor lands for general audiences, the action is spectacular, and the whole thing wraps up in a way that feels satisfying even if you never watch another anime again. The only reason it's not higher is that it's a parody, meaning it hits differently once you actually know the genre it's poking fun at. Still elite as a starting point though. Followed by number 3, which is Death Note. 37 episodes, self-contained story, incredible dub, premise that explains itself in the first 5 minutes. Death Note removes almost every barrier a beginner could have. It's short enough to commit to, familiar enough in tone that non-anime fans compare it to Western crime dramas, and compelling enough that people who swore they'd never watch anime finish it in a week. The slight dip in the back half keeps it from the top 2, but as a starting point, it is nearly flawless. Then at number 2 is Spy X Family. Spy X Family is the single easiest series on this list to hand to someone with zero anime experience and zero interest in anime. It's structured like a sitcom, the humor is universal, there's no lore to track, no power system to learn, no emotional devastation waiting around the corner. You can watch it in chunks, pick it up and put it down, and bring literally anyone along for the ride. It lowers every possible barrier to entry and wraps it in a genuinely funny and touching story about a fake family that somehow feels more real than half the actual families in other shows. And finally, at number 1 is Your Name. And honestly, it's not even a debate. 96 minutes, one sitting. No prior anime knowledge required, no tropes to decode, no genre conventions to navigate, no long-term commitment to make. Just a movie with universal emotions, stunning visuals, and a story that lands regardless of whether you've watched one anime or 1,000. The anime community has been recommending this as the single best entry point for skeptics for years. And they're right. If you can only show one thing to someone who thinks anime isn't for them, it's this, every single time.
Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. And look, if you're someone who just watched this whole thing and you're still on the fence about actually starting, just pick one. Seriously. Don't overthink it, don't make a spreadsheet, don't spend 3 hours reading forum debates about which one is objectively the best. Just pick whatever sounded most interesting to you in this video and start tonight. That's it. That's the whole strategy. Now, before I get out of here, I do have some questions for you, and I actually want answers, so get in the comments and talk to me. First, if you're already an anime fan, what was the first anime you ever watched, and do you think it was a good starting point looking back? Because I feel like a lot of us started with something completely random and got lucky. Second, if you're a beginner who's genuinely about to start for the first time after watching this, which one are you picking and why? I genuinely want to know. Drop it below. And third, is there anything you think I missed? Like, is there a show that you think deserves to be on this list that I didn't cover? Because the comments on these videos go crazy and I read them, so make your case. I'll be watching you guys in the comments, don't think I won't. Okay. Real talk though, thank you for hanging out with me today. It genuinely means a lot. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share it with that one friend who keeps saying they want to get into anime and never does, and subscribe if you haven't already, because there's a lot more of this kind of content coming and you don't want to miss it. Alright, I love you guys. Stay dangerous. Peace out.